Double hit is when you hit 2 or more enemies on the same frame with your melee weapon. In this video, those 2 enemies will mainly be asleep or during stealth, as in combat can get a bit finicky, but more on that later. You probably already know this though, as this is GTFO and you are 1 of 10 players still playing the game, so let's just get into the meat of it. So why am I making this video? Why should you do this funny tech? Well, it's quite simple. Number 1, they're cool, let's be honest. Clip farming speaks for itself. Number 2, it has little to no downside in actual gameplay if you screw it up. And number 3, a big smoosh sound gives lots of dopamine. Before getting into how to do them, I want to give a brief explanation of melee hitbox in this game because it's kind of important for this. This video will be entirely done on Sledgehammer because I'm not talking to the 1 knight and 1 Batman in our 10 player count, and also Sledge breakpoints make the best use of double hits anyway, so it's not too bad. But first off, I'm going to say this multiple times throughout the video because it's probably the most important part of this whole thing. Do not hit scan. The way your melee works either by performing a hit scan check, indicated by your crosshair shrinking on the enemy, or by performing a swing arc. Now, you cannot perform double hits using hit scan, so avoid it at all costs by never looking directly at the enemy you are targeting. When you don't do a hit scan, you'll perform a swing arc from either your left or right shoulder, depending on where you are in your swing combo. The base swing is always from the right side, so that's probably the hitbox you're used to anyways. However, do keep in mind that the hitboxes are different if you happen to find yourself chaining kills into a double hit during stealth, with the left shoulder hitbox being significantly smaller than the right one. Now let's get into how to actually do it. It's honestly a lot easier than you would expect. The hard part is just finding valid enemy spawns to do it on, and it also differs a lot between different cases of enemy spawns, depending on what 2 enemies you are trying to hit and what stances they're standing in. But the gist of it is, you swing from above, so imagine a line between the tallest parts of the 2 enemies. Now aim above right about where you think the middle of that spot is, and release. This is the most generally useful way to do it, and it's useful for most cases of double hits being present, namely when the tops of enemies are fairly similar height, so it's the main one I'm going to mention. I briefly mentioned other more difficult hitbox manipulations you can use to get double hits on harder target combinations because it is funny though. This is namely like giants, like hitting a hybrid and a giant at the same time. So basically, don't hit scan and aim between the enemies. You can do funny things like dragging your swing arc into the correct spot while jumping towards them, sleeping animations to get a better lineup, or extend their hitbox like these nightmares, or you can just say fuck it and go for a crazy double hit, because the worst thing that happens when you fail is you get a proxy aggro. Now that I've finally mentioned aggro in this video, let me go into how double hits are handled in the game, and why they have no downside in stealth. Basically, it either counts as a proximity aggro if you hit or if you miss, or you get 1 long range. Though I do have to mention the 2 times I've seen a double long range aggro occur from a double hit, but the chances of that occurring are just so small, and I've seen so few of them that I don't think it actually matters. Though it is worth mentioning again, it's just because it's funny. When you are going for double hits, if the enemy is anything besides a striker or a nightmare shooter, you should position in a way that nets you back damage on the healthier enemy, as this is probably how you would position even if you weren't going for a double hit. Worst case that happens is you kill only one of the enemies, and now you're in the same position you were before you knew about double hits. This is of course, unless you're Jish.
Oh, triple hit maybe?
Oh,
Potential?
Don't be like Jish.
Nope.
You get nothing. As I mentioned earlier on, in-combat double hits kind of suck, and I think this is just because enemy positions are so jank when they're awake that it's just not feasible to aim for double hits intentionally or not. There are a few niche cases where it could be consistent, namely when both the enemies queue up a tongue attack at the same time, since their position seems static at that point, or when camping the bottom or top of ladders. But yeah, that is about it. Spotting double hits while stealthing and getting to them before your teammates B-hop up is probably the hardest part of getting a double hit, but just trying to do them and getting incredibly familiar with Sledge's swing arc is probably the best way to improve at double hits. Not much more advice I can give on them. Thanks for watching and good luck in your smooshing.
Yourself, man.
Oh! 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 Shit!